My name is Emily Lyons, and I work in the field of science communication. My official title is researcher at the German Federal Institute for Population Research. I am based in their Berlin office and am responsible for the communications and outreach for the new study FRIDA, which is a long-term study focused on families and partnerships in Germany. I support the project by running our social media channels, making our work and research findings interesting and understandable for non-researchers, by building awareness around our work and reaching out to policymakers to provide research to be used in creating evidence-based policy. Prior to this job, I was also working in science communication at the Secretariat of a network of European Demographic Research Institutes. Our focus there was bringing awareness to the research being carried out around Europe in the field of demography and creating connections with policymakers at the European level. I chose this career because I learned while completing my PhD that I had no desire to be a researcher myself or to continue working in an academic setting. It was really clear to me how much work people were putting into their research, and I just found it a shame that so many people never hear about the work that's actually going on. I was already working in the field of science communication at my previous job, and I saw the need among researchers for support and getting their work out to the public. I think researchers really understand the need to do this and to better communicate their work, but it takes a lot of extra energy and a lot of extra time that they just don't have or may not be interested in putting into this task. So I thought it would be great to help provide that support. I think it's really important that more people are aware of what is going on in the large field of research and the information that they're hearing is actually conveyed accurately. It's so easy to reduce research into very basic terms, but it can often then be misleading or misinterpreted. So it takes a lot of time and energy to find that sweet spot where the information is both correct and understandable to those that aren't in the research field. So that's why I wanted to help contribute to supporting researchers and getting their work to the public and to policymakers, because I really believe that people should know what's going on. They should have a better understanding of the work that's being done. And I also think that this work can really help contribute to making society a better place. My job does have an international component. We've attended European-focused conferences such as the European Population Conference, and one of our main partners in our study is the Generations and Gender program. They carry out the Generations and Gender survey in a number of countries around the world, and our project, FRIDA, is responsible for the German survey. So we work really closely with this group that is based in the Netherlands. We also are working so that people outside of Germany are aware of our study. We hope that people in the entire fields of demography, sociology, psychology, and economics know about our data. We want people to use our data in their research, and as part of the Generations and Gender survey, it actually makes it really easy to use our data to carry out comparisons between countries. So, for example, looking at differences in how chores around the house are divided and work-life balance. So for my job, I speak German on a daily basis, and I mainly work with German colleagues. So I do have to have an understanding of German work culture in addition to the German language. And I need to understand, how Germans typically interact with each other in a professional setting. I think knowing, for example, that Germans are known to be a bit more direct in how they talk also helps you better take on feedback that you receive from coworkers. Or supervisors, and also just understanding, tone differences or just different ways things are communicated is really important, and making sure that I can do this job without being offended or offending anyone myself. I think for me, it's really hard to say what I wish I had known before pursuing this career. I didn't really expect that this is the path that I would go down. I think that what's really important, regardless of whatever the job is that you take, is that you just ask questions if you don't understand something or if you're unsure about something. One of my very first internships that I had here in Germany, it was all in German, and I was really nervous about asking questions about what things meant when people told me So I would just do my best to remember them and smile, and then I would go look it up and try to translate and figure out what they were telling me. And really, in the end, it was just best if I had asked them directly and just said, hey, I don't understand. Could you explain that again? I think that's really important. And what I also think is important is that you remember that you were hired for the job that you have, and there was a reason for that. And so you should feel confident in doing the things that you're assigned to do, but also being confident enough to speak up, share your ideas, give feedback to others, and to take feedback, but to feel like you know what you're doing because it's your job. For students that want to go into the field of science communication, I think it's really important to have some sort of experience with conducting research or carrying out research in some way or form. That's whether you are an assistant to a professor, or you do your own research, or you do a master's or a PhD, whatever it is. I think having some understanding of how the research process functions is really beneficial. I also think, depending on the field, having some sort of statistical knowledge, so being able to understand how quantitative analyses are conducted, and also being able to understand these analyses when you read about them in actual academic articles isn't really a strength. That way you have an understanding of the technical language that you're reading and can then better translate that for those people that don't have that knowledge and that background. I think that's a really big benefit in working in this field. I also think being creative is really great, because you'll probably be looking to come up with innovative ways to communicate science with people and to transfer that knowledge to the public or to the political sphere. So thinking of innovative ways, whether it's a different type of event or a multimedia tool that can be used, so like creating interesting videos or even TikToks, or using social media and the various social media platforms out there to communicate science are also really beneficial to being an effective science communicator.